You have done the work. You have studied the strategy. You have visualized the success. You have set the firmest intentions. But somewhere between the whiteboard and reality, the connection breaks. You feel the gravity of your own life pulling you back. The universe feels rigged against your efforts. You call it bad luck, bad karma, or just the inevitable friction of existence. But what if the problem is not external? What if the problem is the fundamental frequency you are broadcasting? The ancient masters understood this heavy friction. They called this age Mappo, the latter day of the law. It is a time defined by profound confusion, spiritual decay, and a fundamental misalignment between the rhythm of human life and the eternal, perfect rhythm of the cosmos. We are operating on a broken channel. Our suffering is not a punishment handed down by some external judge. It is merely the instantaneous feedback loop of a machine running the wrong code.
We are trying to change the output, the circumstances, the relationships, the money, without changing the essential input, the sound, the frequency, the vibrational signature of our own existence. We are trapped in the illusion of separate self, convinced that we must laboriously earn our enlightenment, that we must claw our way out of the darkness. This delusion is the root cause of all stagnation. For centuries, the path to ultimate awakening was complex, shrouded in ritual, reserved for monks sequestered on distant mountains. It was inaccessible, indirect, and painfully slow for the masses caught in the grind of daily life. But 800 years ago, one man stood up in 13th century Japan and declared that the entire spiritual infrastructure of his time was fundamentally flawed for this specific age. His name was Nichiren Daishonin. He was not a peaceful, gentle poet of faith. He was a spiritual warrior, a radical diagnostician who operated with the intensity of a surgeon cutting away cancer. He made a revolutionary, almost violent claim. The entire power of the universe, the complete blueprint for human enlightenment, the totality of the Buddha's wisdom, was contained in a single, simple phrase. Not a secret handshake, not a decade of silent meditation, but a sound technology so potent it could instantly overwrite the flawed code of Mappo and force your life into alignment with the ultimate eternal law. Nichiren lived in a time of unprecedented chaos. Earthquakes, famine, political corruption, and internal warfare that mirrored the chaos we see today. He saw the suffering masses and realized that the complex, esoteric teachings of the past were now useless distractions. They were like giving a detailed map to a starving man who needs immediate food. He had to distill the entire essence of the Buddha's 50 years of teaching into one single, powerful, usable tool that anyone, anywhere, at any time could access. He found that tool in the Lotus Sutra, specifically in the deepest, most technical meaning of its title. He declared that the practice of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo was the direct path to manifesting Buddhahood in this lifetime. This was not about belief. It was about activation. It was about leveraging the universal law. To understand its power, you must first stop treating it like a prayer or a wish. You must understand it as a precise, scientific declaration of identity and a vibrational key that unlocks the deepest reservoir of life force within you. The key to its power lies in the technical understanding of each syllable.
Nichiren wasn't just creating a catchphrase. He was extracting the vibrational DNA of the cosmos itself. Let us break down the mechanism.
You must grasp the sheer, radical audacity of Nichiren's claim. He was not offering a gentle suggestion for self-improvement. He was issuing a spiritual ultimatum. He stated that all existing practices, the complex rituals, the endless study of sutras, the ascetic withdrawal from society, were not just obsolete, but actively detrimental to achieving true, lasting enlightenment in the age of Mappo. He was telling people that the path was not found in abandoning the world, but in mastering the chaos of this world. This stance made him the most dangerous man in 13th century Japan. The established religious schools who profited from the complexity and secrecy of their teachings saw him as an existential threat. The government, terrified of any ideology that might challenge the status quo of suffering and obedience, saw him as a revolutionary. His life became a relentless series of persecutions. He was repeatedly exiled to remote, desolate islands. He was publicly humiliated.
On one infamous occasion, the Tatsunokuchi persecution, he was taken to the execution grounds, fully prepared for death. It was in these moments of absolute extremity, when his back was against the wall, when his life force was directly confronted by the destructive power of the state, that the truth of his teaching was proven. Nichiren did not simply survive these attacks, he used them as empirical evidence. He demonstrated that the life force generated by the practice of the law was so potent, so fundamentally protected by the universal matrix, that no earthly power could extinguish it. This is the context you must hold when you approach the phrase Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. It is not a mantra whispered in a safe room. It is the battle cry of a spiritual warrior who stood against the entire corrupted world and won, simply by activating the deepest reality of life. The key to unlocking this power is the technical definition of each component.
It is a formula, and like any formula, the parts must be understood in relation to the whole. We begin with the first syllable, Nam. This is often mistranslated or oversimplified as mere devotion or reverence. While the Sanskrit root namas carries that connotation, Nichiren redefined its function entirely. For him, Nam is not passive piety. It is the active, dynamic commitment of the self to the eternal law. Nam is the mechanism of fusion. It is the declaration that your life, right here, right now, in its imperfect, struggling, chaotic form, is fundamentally inseparable from the cosmic, eternal reality. Think of it as the ultimate act of responsibility. When you chant Nam, you are not praying to the universe. You are stating, I merge with the universe. I commit my actions, my existence, my karma to the essential rhythm of life. Nam is the engine that drives the entire process. It is the active choice to engage the highest potential within you.
Without this active commitment, the remaining syllables are just sounds. With Nam, they become a vibrational technology that forces the alignment of your inner life with the ultimate law. And what is that law? It is contained in the next 4 syllables. Mayo Renge. Mayo. This compound word is the heart of the entire practice. It is translated as the mystic law. But what does mystic actually mean here? It does not mean mysterious or supernatural in the sense of magic tricks or things hidden beyond human comprehension. It means the opposite. It means the reality that is so profound, so subtle, that it is difficult to perceive with the superficial senses. Yet it is utterly pervasive and completely available. Mayo, the first half. This means mystic, but more specifically, it means completely hidden from view, yet possessing astonishing power. Think of it as the latent, infinite potential residing within every moment of life, every particle of matter.
It is the absolute, unseen potential for change. It refers to the capacity of ordinary people, filled with delusion, suffering, and anger, to instantly reveal the enlightened state of Buddhahood. It is the transformation of poison into medicine. It is the instantaneous shift from despair to hope. That hidden, astonishing power is Mayo. Ho, the second half. This means law or entity. It refers to the phenomena, the physical manifestations, the reality we experience right now. Ho is the world of suffering, the 9 worlds of existence, the hell, the hunger, the anger, the joy. When combined, Mayo Ho means that the ultimate, hidden potential, Mayo, is inseparable from the phenomena of reality, Ho. The two are one. They are inseparable. This is Nichiren's core technical insight. Buddhahood is not a destination you travel to by leaving the world behind. Buddhahood is the potential already embedded within the misery and joy of this very moment.
You don't escape suffering to find enlightenment. You use the suffering itself as the fuel for enlightenment. Myoho is the law of life that allows the lowest state of existence, hell, to instantly transform into the highest state, Buddhahood, without leaving the physical reality of the body. This is the technology of instantaneous transformation. Next comes Renge, the lotus flower. This is the ultimate metaphor, the perfect visual diagram of the mystic law in operation. The lotus is unique among flowers because it blossoms and produces seeds simultaneously. It is the only plant where the cause and the effect exist at the same time. Renge represents the simultaneity of cause and effect. In every other spiritual system, cause and effect are sequential. You perform a good deed, cause, and later you receive a reward, effect. You practice for decades, cause, and eventually you attain enlightenment, effect.
The Lotus Sutra, and by extension, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, detonates this paradigm. It declares that when you chant, the cause, the chanting, the action, the Nam, and the effect, the immediate manifestation of Buddhahood, are inseparable. They occur at the same moment. You are not waiting for Buddhahood to arrive from the future. You are activating the Buddhahood that already resides within your present moment. The seed is the flower. The flower is the seed. Furthermore, the lotus grows in the muddiest, most polluted water, yet its bloom is pristine and unstained. The mud represents the deep, messy, painful delusions of ordinary human life. The flower represents the pure, enlightened state. This proves that the filth of life is not an obstacle to enlightenment. It is the necessary soil.
the deeper the suffering, the richer the soil for the magnificent bloom of your potential.
Nam Myoho Renge is the complete philosophical and technical statement, the active commitment, Nam, to the simultaneous cause and effect, Renge, inherent in the mystic reality, Myoho. It is a complete, self-contained system for generating absolute happiness from within the very conditions of your suffering. But we have one final, crucial syllable, Kyo. This word means sutra or teaching. But in the context of the Lotus Sutra, Nichiren elevated its meaning far beyond a mere book or written text. Kyo represents the sound, the vibration, the eternal continuity of life itself. It signifies the thread that runs through all existence, past, present, and future. It is the eternal rhythm of the universe, the pulse of time. When you chant Kyo, you are not just reciting a teaching. You are aligning your personal, transient rhythm with the cosmic, eternal rhythm. You are joining the chorus of life, flowing through all dimensions. This is why the phrase is so potent.
It is not just a prayer. It is a declaration of vibrational identity. It is a sequence of sounds designed to shake the fundamental atoms of your being until they resonate with the highest, most powerful frequency of the universe. When you chant Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, you are not begging for power. You are accessing the power that already belongs to you. You are commanding the universe to align with the ultimate reality of your life. This is the technology Nichiren bequeathed to us. This is the key to overwriting the destructive code of Mappo. Now, the question is simple. Are you ready to stop treating this as an abstract philosophy and start treating it as the precise scientific mechanism for transforming your destiny? The proof is not in the reading. The proof is in the execution. You cannot understand the magnitude of this teaching without understanding the furnace in which it was forged. We talk about the latter day of the law, Mappo, as a philosophical concept.
But Nichiren Daishonin lived it. He experienced the collapse of society, the spiritual bankruptcy of the traditional temples, the plagues, the famines, and the constant threat of civil war. He saw that the established methods, the complex rituals, the esoteric meditations, the reliance on external deities had utterly failed to generate actual human happiness or social stability. They were beautiful, perhaps, but they were powerless against the onslaught of reality. Nichiren was a scholar. He spent 2 decades diving into the entire canon of Buddhist scriptures, measuring every text against the reality of the age. He wasn't looking for comfort. He was looking for the absolute, verifiable engine of transformation. He concluded that all of Shakyamuni's teachings were preparatory, like steps leading up to the final, ultimate summit. That summit was the Lotus Sutra, and within that sutra, the core essence was the title itself, Myoho Renge Kyo.
But Nichiren understood that even the written sutra was insufficient for Mappo. People needed a direct, immediate, and practical key to unlock the power within themselves without needing years of monastic discipline or complex study. He didn't just study the sutra. He extracted its absolute vibrational core. He took the supreme law of the universe, Myoho Renge Kyo, and fused it with the active commitment of the human being.
Nam. On April 28, 1253, he made his declaration. He stood on the spiritual battlefield of his age and roared Nam Myoho Renge Kyo for the first time. This was not a quiet prayer. This was a direct challenge to every established authority, both religious and secular. He was essentially telling the powerful elite, your beliefs are false, your practices are useless, and the only true path is this single phrase. The response was immediate and violent. If the teaching was merely philosophy, it would have been debated.
Because it was the ultimate truth, the technology of life itself, it was persecuted. Nichiren faced exile, imprisonment, and repeated attempts on his life. Think about the night of Tatsunokuchi, the execution grounds. He was arrested, dragged out under the cover of darkness, and brought before the executioner. The swords were drawn. His life, his mission, the entire future of the true teaching hung on that moment. And what did he do? Did he panic? Did he beg? No. He demonstrated the principle of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo under the most extreme pressure. He maintained his absolute, unwavering commitment to the mystic law. He was not afraid of death because he understood that his life was already one with the eternal rhythm, Kyo. The historical accounts tell us that a brilliant object, some say a lightning bolt, others a luminous sphere, flashed across the sky, terrifying the executioners and forcing them to abandon the attempt.
Whether you see that event as a literal miracle or as the seismic spiritual vibration generated by his absolute conviction, the outcome is the same. Nichiren transformed the poison of persecution into the medicine of propagation. He survived, and in surviving, he proved that no external force, no political power, and no personal suffering can extinguish the life that is aligned with the eternal law. This is the non-duality of life and death demonstrated in the furnace of history. Nichiren used his suffering as the means to establish the power of the Daimoku. He showed us that the moment you commit to Nam, the universe must respond. He didn't just teach the principle of transforming karma, he embodied it. His persecution was his enlightenment. His exile was his university. This is why we treat Nam-myoho Renge Kyo not as a ritualistic chant, but as the final, absolute commitment. It is the sound of the ultimate courage.
It is the sound of the Buddha you already are, commanding your environment to reflect the truth of your inherent dignity. Every time you sit down to chant, you are not engaging in some gentle, passive meditation. You are stepping onto that spiritual battlefield alongside Nichiren. You are activating the same mechanism he used to defy death itself. You are affirming that the winter never fails to turn into spring. You are taking the raw, brutal reality of your mappo, your debt, your disease, your despair, and you are actively declaring that this very suffering is the fuel for your magnificent lotus bloom.
This is the heritage he left us. A practice so simple that a child can do it, yet so profound that it bends the very fabric of time and destiny. The power is real. The history is the proof. The only remaining obstacle is your own willingness to utilize this technology with the same unyielding conviction that Nichiren demonstrated when the sword was at his neck.
Stop analyzing the tool. Start hammering the steel of your destiny.
The physical trials were over, but the spiritual work was just beginning. Nichiren had survived the sword not merely to continue preaching, but to fulfill a specific cosmic mandate. He realized that the time had come to leave humanity a tangible blueprint of the law he had awakened to. He had to codify the life state of the Buddha into something that could be accessed by anyone, anywhere, at any time, especially those living in the chaos of Mappo. This blueprint is the Gohonzon. Go means worthy of honor. On means root or foundation. It is the fundamental object of devotion. It is not an idol. It is not a deity to be worshipped from afar. It is the graphical representation of your own life, the universe, and the law that binds them. It is a mirror that reflects the inherent dignity, the Buddhahood that resides within you.
When you look at the Gohonzon, you are seeing the entire spectrum of existence mapped out. Inscribed upon it are the characters for Nam-myoho Renge Kyo at the center, the axis of the universe. Surrounding the law, you find the representatives of the 10 worlds: hell, hunger, animality, arrogance, tranquility, the lower states, but also learning, realization, bodhisattva, and Buddhahood, the higher states. Every single one of these life conditions is present and active, all simultaneously unified by the central law. The Gohonzon teaches you that you are not one static identity. You are all 10 worlds, constantly shifting, constantly interacting. Your life is a theater where the drama of suffering and enlightenment plays out every single second. The lower worlds are not something to be eliminated. They are the essential energy of life itself, raw, untransformed power. Hell is the furious energy of resistance. Hunger is the ceaseless drive for fulfillment. The law, Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, is the mechanism for transformation. It is the lens through which that raw energy is focused and purified. When you sit before this mirror and sound the Daimoku, you are initiating a dialogue between your transient self and the eternal law. The sound of Nam-myoho Renge Kyo is the sonic key that activates the Buddhahood inscribed within the Gohonzon, and simultaneously the Buddhahood residing within your own chest. You are aligning the microcosm of your life with the macrocosm of the universe. You are demanding that the highest state of existence, Buddhahood, rise up and dominate the lower states of hell and hunger. This is not passive reception. This is command. You are calling forth the inherent capacity for wisdom and compassion that already exists within the darkness of your current struggle. Your debt is the fuel. Your illness is the catalyst. Your despair is the raw material.
The Gohonzon is the blueprint showing you exactly how the universe is constructed and where your life stands within that construction. It is the ultimate spiritual engineering diagram. And Nichiren, having passed through the fire of persecution and emerged unscathed, certified the validity of this diagram. He proved that the law is absolute. Therefore, your practice is not about finding salvation outside yourself. It is about dissolving the illusion that you are separate from the law. You are simply reading the inscription on the mirror, repeating the sound of the universe, until your life vibrates at the frequency of the ultimate reality.
This is the ultimate function of the practice in the age of Mappo, to give the ordinary person, the person with mortgages, anxieties, and crippling self-doubt, the direct, unmediated access to the power of a Buddha. We do not worship the piece of paper. We utilize the inscribed wisdom on the paper to activate the wisdom within ourselves.
The Gohonzon is the map to your own life. The Daimoku is the engine that drives you along that map. Stop looking for shortcuts. Stop hoping for external rescue. The rescue is already built into the system. It is in the sound of the law. It is in the recognition of the mirror. The only question that remains is whether you are willing to embrace the responsibility of that absolute power. Are you willing to stop identifying solely with the lower worlds of hell and hunger, and finally assert the inherent majesty of your own life? The moment you sound Nam Myoho Renge Kyo with absolute conviction, the entire universe, represented by the Gohonzon, begins to move on your behalf. It is a spiritual economy based on faith and action. You put in the sound. The universe delivers the transformation. You cannot cheat the system, but the system cannot fail to respond to your commitment.
This is the final test of faith. Not believing that Nichiren was a great man, but believing that the law he left behind works for you right now, in this moment of your deepest crisis. Now let us break down the mechanics of the sound itself, not just what the words mean, but what they actively accomplish when you speak them. We must move beyond philosophy and into the physics of sound and destiny. Now let us break down the mechanics of the sound itself, not just what the words mean, but what they actively accomplish when you speak them. We must move beyond philosophy and into the physics of sound and destiny. The practice of Nichiren Buddhism is the recitation of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. It is the core technology of transformation, but you must understand the components to unlock the power. Nam is not passive worship. It is the active verb. It means devotion, alignment, dedication.
When you sound Nam, you are dedicating your life, your finite existence, your current state of suffering, to the absolute and infinite law. It is the fusion of the individual self with the universal rhythm. You are declaring, I align myself with the ultimate truth. Mayo is the mystic law. Mayo is the mystic, the hidden, the incomprehensible depth of life. It is the fundamental energy that cannot be analyzed, only experienced. Ho is the law, the pattern, the expression of that depth. Mayo is the inherent duality of reality, the potential and the manifestation. It is the power that turns poison into medicine. It is the mechanism of instant, profound transformation. Renge is the lotus flower. This is the crucial analog that shatters linear thinking. The lotus grows in the foulest mud, the mud of our anxiety, our doubt, our crushing debt, our lowest states of hell. Yet it rises above the water to produce a pristine, unsullied flower.
Renge teaches us that our enlightenment is not separate from our suffering. The mud is the necessary condition for the flower. But the most critical lesson of the Renge is the simultaneity of cause and effect. The lotus is the only plant that produces the flower, the cause, and the seed pod, the effect, at the same time.
This means that when you chant, the cause, your action, and the effect, your inherent Buddhahood, exist simultaneously within that moment of sound. You are not chanting to become a Buddha later. You are chanting to reveal the Buddha you already are, right now, in this moment of effort. Kyo is the sutra, the sound, the vibration. Kyo means the thread, the continuity. It is the sound that connects all phenomena across time, past, present, and future. The law is eternal, flowing through the universe like a continuous stream. When you sound Kyo, you are weaving your life thread back into the universal tapestry.
You are establishing vibrational harmony with all existence. Nam-myoho Renge Kyo is therefore not a prayer asking for something external. It is a declaration of identity. It is the technology for aligning the frequency of your individual suffering with the eternal, transformative rhythm of the universe. It is the spiritual sound that allows the ordinary person to tap directly into the source code of reality. The final test of this teaching is simple. Are you committed to the sound? The universe does not respond to intellectual curiosity. It responds to determination. It responds to consistency. It responds to the depth of your faith in the power of the sound you are making. Nichiren Daishonin left us the Gohonzon, the mirror of the universe, and the practice of Daimoku, the engine of transformation. He proved the law works by surviving every conceivable persecution: exile, assassination attempts, starvation, and never wavering in his conviction.
He taught that the greatest benefit is not the material gain, though that will flow naturally from aligned energy. The greatest benefit is the realization that your life is intrinsically worthy and powerful, regardless of external circumstances. You are the Buddha. Now act like it. Stop identifying solely with the lower worlds of hell and hunger. Stop waiting for the cosmic signal. Stop hoping for external rescue. The rescue is already built into the system. It is in the sound of the law. The only thing separating you from the life you are destined to lead is your own refusal to consistently activate the power within. The universe moves on your behalf when you chant Nam-myoho Renge Kyo with absolute conviction. This is the spiritual economy based on faith and action. You put in the sound, the universe delivers the transformation. Your job is to sit down, face the mirror, and sound the name of the law that governs all phenomena. Do not whisper it. Do not mumble it. Sound it from your diaphragm, from the center of your being, with the roar of a lion asserting its territory. This is your territory. This is your destiny. Claim it. The winter never fails to turn into spring. Your suffering is the mud. Your life is the lotus. The sound is the key. Now, go chant.